Yeah. All right, hold on.
I gotta be careful this time.
What do you gotta be careful with?
You got me fucked up the other time. I told some fucked up stories last time I was on here.
Well, that was the point. All right, this will be loud enough. Alrighty. So, this is Garrett over here. Boom, I'm having these two fuckers on here. And they're going to tell a little story. As you can see, there's a little red box on here. The viewers cannot see. I want you guys to tell a little story. Hold on.
Story about what?
There you go. There you go. You little manlets. I'm just kidding. This is going to get fucked up. So, here we go. Boop.
Oh, God.
Oh. Well, that is
That's a picture of us.
That's a picture of me in the hospital. Well, ICU, actually, after a car crash that me and my boy Vaughn here were involved in.
Are we really going to fucking do this right now?
Yeah, I guess we're going to do this. That's all right. I can do this.
I got
good.
Vaughn's perspective the other night, but I want to get both of you guys because at one point, I'm pretty sure John here blacked out.
Oh, yeah. I think I said something. Well, a little bit of backstory on it. We were up at our buddy's house, and we were hanging out up at his house and just chilling. And then on our way back, it's like way up in the hills. And on our way back, it's like gravel roads and shit. And we ended up getting fucked and driving off a cliff. And I just remember screaming like, "Oh, fuck." And then I'm pretty sure I just blacked out after that.
That's what happened. Yeah.
While you were in the air.
While we were in the air, like it was full on like adrenaline mode.
Fuck. You had enough time. So how many feet did the car drop till it hit the tree?
I think it was 30 something.
News report said about 50 feet, but I'm pretty sure it was more about 30.
I think it was like 30.
40.
It was like 32 feet
and
or
so
some shit like that.
Did you go off and hit the tree and then bam, and then the car hit the back, or was it like all at once?
The car hit the tree. I mean, I don't remember any of this. I was just able to kind of like see this from the way that the wreck was and stories that people told me. But like the tree, so like if this was the tree, right? The car hit on my side on like the driver's side, so it kind of hit on the side of the car. And it crushed like the whole left side of the car into my shoulder. And so that's what ended up like fracturing my scapula and fucking up my spine.
Okay.
And it hit the...
And you also hit your head.
Oh, yeah.
You
I mean...
smacked your head when that happened.
Yeah.
Because you went sideways.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Impact on my side. And what happened, like... We hit the tree in midair. So, like, we were high. We were, like 6 feet off the ground still.
It was pretty high. It was like 6 feet up, and, like, the hillside was pretty vertical. Like, it was a pretty steep hill, and obviously trees are still going to grow straight up. So when the car, like, wrapped around the tree, the back side of the car was stuck on the hill, but the front side of the car was, like, 6 feet up in the air.
Yeah, so...
At the point of impact, you go out.
Yeah, I mean, I think even before impact, to be quite honest, I don't remember anything. Like, I just remember losing control because I lost control.
You remember saying, "Oh fuck."
I remember saying, "Oh fuck,"
and
then that's
done.
it. That's it. It was
that makes sense. Yeah,
over after that.
Because you smacked your head against the car.
And the
airbags went off too, so that probably didn't help.
That probably didn't help at all. I came back a little bit. He had pulled me out of the car, which we later realized was not the greatest move. But what are you gonna do, right? But I came to a little bit when I was like kind of sitting up against the side of the car, and then I like kind of just went out again. I don't remember really anything that happened. I just remember it being dark and we were fucked, and Vaughn was like screaming for help because Vaughn didn't have any service. He couldn't like call anybody, and so he just started like screaming and shit.
This isn't in the middle of the city.
No, this is way up in the hills. Like, you know, like.
It's
think
easily
like that
5-6 miles outside of the smallest town you've ever been in.
Right. And
Oregon has small towns littered everywhere, so there's miles and miles of back roads. So you guys were coming from your homie's house. It just happened to be a fucking back road, a back gravel road that has a cliff. Mm-hmm. So did they add a fucking guardrail or anything?
No,
they didn't add a guardrail. There's not enough traffic going up there. I mean, there's like 7 houses that high up, and then that's it. Like there's really nothing.
I don't think there's a guardrail that follows that road at all. Not even one stretch of it.
No, they didn't add a guardrail. The moment I came to again, and actually came to, was in the hospital. Well, I remember being in a helicopter.
Wait, so you didn't even wake up when you got pulled out of the car. You were still just a limp
No, I was.
body.
Yeah, I was still. I mean, as far as I know,
Was he
yeah.
moving at all?
No. At first, so when everything happened and we hit, I didn't really go out of consciousness at all. I was awake the entire time, and I just saw John. And I was like, I got to get him out of this car. My thought was, him staying there might be worse than him being out of the car, and B, what if this fucking car decides to go the rest of the way down the cliff? Because we weren't all the way down. There was still like another 100 feet down to McKay Creek, down at the bottom of this basin. And we were on this little plateau. Like, it had gone down, and then it flattened out a little bit, and then, we just happened to land on this sweet spot.
He could have easily got crushed.
He could, yeah, exactly. There was so many things. So I pulled him out, and initially, yeah, he was blacked out. He was a limp body, and it was kind of fucked up. Don't ever try to pull someone out of a car wreck, because this could have gone really badly. When I tried to pull him out of the car, like I said, we were like 6 feet up, and I didn't realize we were 6 feet up. So I kind of like pulled him out of the car, and we both tumbled and like fell like 6 feet out of the car. And yeah, I think that kind of jostled him and woke him up a little bit, because he was having a hard time breathing. He was trying to breathe, but he was dazed. His eyes were rolling around. He couldn't really talk or anything. But for a moment, he did come to, and he was stressed about the car, and like he was worried about just like us and getting in trouble and stuff like that. And I'm like,
Getting in
dude,
trouble for what?
dude,
Just crashing.
Yeah, just crashing.
Just crashing, being fucking kids.
Yeah, like
You guys
it
were fucking
he just got.
balls or something, or not like drinking. Or fucking crazy?
No, we're not crazy kids like that. We don't drink and drive, nothing like that. And essentially, his mom had just given him not giving him the car, but he bought the car from his mom. It was his mom's.
I'd
old
had
car.
it for almost a year.
But it was still just like, you want to tell your mom, hey, I just crashed your fucking
Do you have a
car.
picture of the car on Facebook or anything?
Yeah, I do.
I think there's a picture.
If you
of
go
it.
onto Facebook and go into my uploads, it should be
I'm here.
okay. Just
There you
scroll
go.
down. Keep scrolling down, you'll see it. But yeah, he was just dazed and he was scared and stuff. But then he went out really fast, and yeah, we were on that hill for almost an hour.
Some other good ones. Okay.
Yeah, he's got some more pictures here. We were on that hill for almost an hour, but it only felt like a few minutes to me. Like, I really only felt like we were there for a few minutes. I pulled my phone out.
No, I don't think the picture is, because we're going before the crash now.
Are you sure?
So I don't think there's a picture of the car. There's a picture of.
I have pictures of the car. I pulled them up last night.
Yeah, there's.
Okay.
But I think it was like a memory.
Oh, you
or
know
something.
what? Go in photos of Vaughn. Look that up.
Yeah.
Photos or Vaughn's photos. Oh, that's why you're in the wrong album. There you go.
All right, keep talking about it.
So I pulled my phone out. There's no service. So I'm like, okay, shit. This is like a goddamn movie. This is where everything goes wrong. Okay. So I just started screaming like a motherfucker. Apparently, I was screaming loud enough that a dude like a mile and a half away over a hillside heard me. And luckily, he was a ex-firefighter, and he scaled down the hillside, and he was amazed that we were all the way down there. And he had all the local police and fire department on their way and everything. And John got a nice, fun helicopter ride, and I got a fucking hour-long ambulance ride with 4 failed IVs. They kept trying to poke me, and they just couldn't do it. They also cut all my clothes off. That was fun.
Yeah, I woke up briefly in the helicopter. Luckily, I was too dazed to kind of like realize what was happening, because I fucking hate heights. And that if I knew that in the moment that I was in a helicopter, I probably would have started going fucking crazy. But they immobilized my spine in the helicopter, so I couldn't move my arms or legs or anything. I couldn't move anything.
They immobilized you.
Yeah, because if I move a bunch, I can potentially like injure myself more.
Sure.
And so I was basically paralyzed in this helicopter, and I couldn't move, and it was dark, and so I didn't know like exactly the extent of my injuries or anything. And I think just the shock of that alone put me back out. But yeah, so here's the car. You can see that it just like, I mean, like I was in the driver's seat, and so like the entire top of it and everything just came like crashing down. You can see like how we hit the tree on the side.
You can see a hunk of wood in the moonroof if you look. Actually, there's a chunk of the tree.
Yeah. So it just demolished the car, like totally fucked us.
Yeah.
The other thing that was crazy is when they were trying to retrieve us, it wasn't like anything conventional. Like you think they just carry us up the hill. This fucking thing was a cliff. It was vertical nearly. So they had to like put 2 extended ladders together, and they put a rope down with a stretcher, and they brought us up, like just pulled us up the mountain, up these ladders, up a stretcher, and that was an experience and a half to behold. The thing that pissed me off the most was they separated us immediately, and they wouldn't let me see John, talk to John. They sent us.
Like freaking out.
I'm freaking out. I think my best friend's dead, and they're not telling me anything. They're like, oh, your buddy's name is John. Like every time I'm asking about him, they're like, okay, his name's John. Where's he live? Stuff like that. I'm like, motherfuckers, tell me if he's alive.
Yeah.
Like shit.
And the interesting thing is, so I woke up in the helicopter, but then I woke up again when I had fully came to and didn't nod off again, was like right in the middle of a conversation with a police officer going over what happened. But I was like mid-sentence when I woke up.
Like,
I came to, and then I was like, wait, what? Wait, what are we talking about? And he's like, we've been talking for like 10 minutes. We're talking about the car crash. And I'm like, oh shit. And like I started over. It was the weirdest thing.
You were blacked out.
Yeah, because I was like blacked out and I was still all fucked. I spent...
Wait, so you came to and then they had you talk to a fucking officer right away?
Pretty immediately.
So
I
had
imagine...
an officer waiting there for you at the hospital?
Yeah, I wasn't even in a room yet. I think it was the next day. At that point, I don't know. You're in the hospital. You can't. There's no windows or whatever the fuck, and you don't really know when anything is. By the time I finally got a room, it was just like.
When you woke up, did you know? Were you like, "Oh shit, we went off a cliff"?
I think it took me a little bit to like piece everything together.
But did someone tell you, hey, you were in a car wreck, or were they just like, hey, will you want to tell us about what happened?
Or
were you even awake at that point?
I don't know if I was even awake at that point. It's all super fuzzy for obvious reasons.
Oh, yeah.
And like it's just all like.
You came to a day later though.
Yeah. I like fully came to and like remember things happening like the next day. Yeah, just a little concussed, just a little bit.
So they did MRIs on you and shit right away, or what happened right after you actually came to again?
Right after I came to, I didn't have a room yet. They were like super filled up on all their rooms, and so I like stayed out in the lobby like in like a gurney thing for like, probably a few hours, and then they got me a room and got me hooked up to like all of these different IVs. Like they had like the mobile IV things that like roll around with you, but they got me hooked up to like machines and stuff, and were able to do scans and stuff, and they did an MRI and they did all sorts of scanning my head. They actually found a piece of the like the car in my head. Like they found they quote called it an artifact in my head.
Yeah. Jesus.
And they told me that I had fractured my scapula.
Which is
it's basically your shoulder blade. It's like the big bone, like the big bone in the back. Yeah.
People think that's your shoulder.
Yeah.
So fuck up, that's your back, homie. But whatever.
Yeah. So it's that's your scapula.
So you fucked that up. Okay. So the car came down on that side, like you were saying, and hit you kind of the side of the head and the shoulder.
Well, yeah, because I mean, if you see the picture of the car, you see that the roof was caved in too, like almost just as much as the side of the car is.
Yeah.
So the top of the car is what hit me in the head. The side of the car was crushed in. Yeah. There's really not too much depth to the picture, so you can't really see.
Too well,
if you look at the back door and the front door and you realize that those are like folded in, it kind of gives you... They're like folded in like 2-3 feet.
Like that car looks so much skinnier than it's supposed to be.
Yeah, that's a big car.
So, it was kind of like I got hit from two sides, kind of. So,
yeah. Okay, so then... They did all the medical shit to make sure. So you had an artifact in your head, you fucked up your scapula. What else? That's it? Your spine fucked up at all?
Yeah, I like can't remember exactly what they said, but I like fucked up the placement of like where your like the little pieces of your spine. So like the top
vertebrae?
part, the vertebrae like shifted.
Sure.
So that's kind of like the extent of my back injuries. And then I had some like shit with my arm too, where I could. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure that was the scapula. I couldn't like move my arm because it was gonna fuck my scapula up. So I was in a neck brace for the vertebrae, and then a sling for the scapula. I was able to go without the sling for a while, pretty shortly after, but I had to keep the neck brace on for like 2 months, I think. I think it was like 2 months like that.
2-3 months, yeah.
Yeah, so I had to keep that on for a while. In the hospital, I stayed there for 4 days.
That's longer than I thought. I thought it was only 2-3 days. Yeah.
It was ICU for 3 days, and then 4 days, or another day after that in a main room or whatever. Mm-hmm. And within those 3 days, man, a bunch of people came to come see me and shit.
And when was this?
This was in OHSU. Okay. I was at OHSU. A bunch of people came to see me and shit. Girlfriend at the time, however, didn't. Was that because she was cheating on me? Oh, yeah, God. Yeah. She went like camping with a bunch of.
She was sucking some strange dick, and
yeah.
while you get her your
she was sucking the entire dick of a band. I think she was like sucking their dicks.
Didn't you like fucking text her? You're like, hey, by the way, I was in a fucking car accident or something. And she was like, okay, or something like that.
Oh, I was all fucking crazy and nonsensical about that shit for sure. But yeah, I mean that happened, and then I got out of the hospital and was able to use the sympathy card with chicks, and I actually ended up getting laid a bunch after that.
Oh my God. So did they bathe you? Did they bathe you at some point?
They had to have. If you were there for 4 days,
they had to have.
I got a sponge bath.
I was assuming you smelled shit by that point. So you're like an old person. They put you in the tub or something, scrub you down. Mm-hmm. No shit.
I didn't leave the gurney. They just did it right then and there.
What?
Dude, I was naked the whole time. They cut all my clothes off.
Oh, that's right.
Dude, they cut my zip up hoodie, like a fully.
It's
You could just zip it. Fuck.
It was all this stuff back.
Yeah, they give
you all your ripped.
It was
clothes
a garbage bag full of just cut up clothes.
Here you go, guys. Here's your jacket. You probably trigger you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it did. I threw it all away.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, threw all that shit away.
How was driving after that?
It was weird for a while. I didn't drive for a while because obviously I didn't have a car. Yeah. I didn't drive for a while, and then I got a car, I think, a year later, and started driving again. And it really wasn't too weird until I would go up in those hills again, because that was where we all like hung out, and we had a bunch of friends who lived up there, so we were always driving through there, and you
see that corner and your heart starts pounding.
I never really went. I actually never been up there again.
Yeah, since
just like back roads in general, especially gravel roads and
people
stuff.
Whip
like
around
when we went to Opal Creek with fucking Blaine and Abby and you and Hannah and me and Ariana, long ass time ago. Yeah. You remember that?
Yeah.
All those gravel roads that we were driving on, that was fucking me up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just little shit like that. Yeah. Like every now and again, just, shit fucks me up.
Well, absolutely. Even, it's funny, people will claim, they'll freak out and be like, oh, I got PTSD from an accident. And you're like, first off, you rear-ended the person. Second of all, don't compare this to people who really go through fucked up shit where they see their life flash before their eyes, flying through the fucking air like Herbula, and saying "oh fuck" as you hit a tree.
He said "oh fuck" and I said "shit." That was like what I remember going through the air. It was
so. Did you at least was it a little fun while you were sailing?
No, not for me at least. It was pretty gut-wrenching, honestly. Like when the feeling of being in something that weighs a few tons and it's airborne.
When you hit, did you feel that fucking force?
Yeah, the best way I could describe it was it sounded like two dumpsters being slammed into each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a literal brick wall. You just hit it, and there's no give. Trees are strong as fuck, dude. You think that tree's still there to this day? It's just missing bark.
Yeah.
You should go sign your initials in it with a
Right.
I don't think you'd make it down that hill. You'd have to use a rope.
We're gonna go there. We're gonna do a vlog, and we're gonna face that fear.
See, I don't even know where that shit is. I couldn't even take you back there.
I could take us.
He could take you back there. I haven't been back there since. I don't even really remember where that dude's house was and at what point we crashed. But
I think that's what fucked me up the most was the fact that I just I kind of wish I blacked out somewhat because having all of those memories stuck in your head. It's just a Pandora's box, dude. Like when I left the hospital, when
Garrett just opened it up.
yeah. When my parents were driving me home from the hospital, this fucker got to go to OHSU. I went to St. Vincent's.
Wait,
okay?
so they flew him.
They flew
me
him and drove me.
How soon after? Right away?
Like
I don't know because they separated us. They put me in an ambulance and took my ass.
Idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine that it took that long.
It had to have been pretty immediately. But yeah, so like the drive home, like going through Portland, I don't know how many of you been through Portland, but there's a lot of bridges and it's a busy city. On the way home, I live out in the country. It was like 45 minutes away. I was bawling my eyes out. It was terrifying.
How long
I was
after
sick.
was that?
That was 2 or 3 days because I think I was in the hospital for 2 days. It was that initial night, and then the next night.
Had you seen John at that point?
No. I got a picture from his mom. His mom had texted my mom a picture of him, just essentially being like, "Hey, my son's alive."
Yeah.
Right.
And I got a call from him, and that was awesome. But that was.
It was Facebook.
Yeah.
It was Facebook days.
And that was pretty gut-wrenching getting that. But
pretty much what, 2012?
It was 2013. 2013, April 11th, if I remember right. It was the day that it happened. And
oh yeah, so that's inside.
Here we go. Let's look at this one.
But yeah, then I think it was the second or the third day. I think I went straight from my hospital. My mom had brought me clothes and driven me to see John. And that initial picture that Garrett had up was the first time I saw John since the crash. And that was us catching up.
So this is the inside of the car here, and as you can barely see, there's something coming in the roof here.
Mm-hmm.
You got.
You can't even really see the blood. They also cleaned it up pretty good too.
But
if you look on the airbag, you can see like a lot of what you think are shadows is actually dried blood. Like if you look at mine, the whole front of I got a laceration across my face on my right cheek from the seam of the airbag, and that's pretty much what that's all that blood right there.
Wow. So what was it like getting hit by the airbag?
Oh, dude, it's not soft. It's not soft, dude. Imagine Mike Tyson throwing a table at your face. It's pretty much what it's like.
Yeah.
It hurts pretty bad. And I'm really surprised I didn't go out. I often question myself if I did or not, but I mean, like, it was pretty immediate. I woke up and like
really
was dealing
have
with
no
it.
idea though.
You have no idea, but it like
out, you wake up and you're like,
but no,
it's gone.
You're like, how did you?
But no, it was pretty quick. It was like we hit, and then I was like, "Oh shit, did that just happen?" Like I immediately had a response to it. So, but yeah,
I was like fucking.
He was gone.
Ben Askren after.
Yeah, he was pretty stiff.
You could make a comparison and be like,
his toes were curling. Like it was.
Oh yeah.
That car was Masvidal's knee.
That's right.
And I was Ben Askren.
Dude, when you look at the footage of Ben Askren getting up, because it was like, they say it was a solid 5 minutes before he even came to, and you see the doctors like asking him, they're like, "What's your name?"
He has
and
no
he
idea.
goes, he like looks left and right. He's like, "I have no idea."
He almost wants to be like, "What's a name?"
Idea. Yeah.
I have no idea.
I have no idea. And he like looks at the people like, "What are we doing here?" That was fucked up. But yeah, so what you guys found out here was the tree wins.
The tree wins.
The tree will
will always beat a car. The tree will always beat a car.
I don't care how much metal is in your car. A tree will always beat it. It's been living there for a few hundred years. Trust me, it's got deep roots.
Yeah, but you gotta...
These roots go deep.
Especially with those back roads, you can't be zooming around, drifting around that shit.
No,
I slide around basically any gravel on my tires. They're so worn down.
And this kind of attests to the fact that it's like these things can happen at any moment. Like we were going maybe 20, 30 miles an hour most.
Yeah, we weren't like speeding.
We weren't
by any
speeding.
means.
We weren't drunk. It was just nighttime.
Like gravel.
Oh,
Loose gravel is a
nighttime.
It was nighttime. It was nighttime.
It was dusk. It was dusk. I mean, there was still light out for sure, but it was definitely dusk. Dude, I was such a dumb fuck too back then. I had a like a wooden rhino.
Safety rhino. I remember that.
That was like I don't know, like that big. And it like had the horns on it and everything. It was just a solid wood rhino.
I
put it on my dash in front of me. And it was in there when we crashed. I like still have that fucking wooden
It's
rhino.
fine. Yeah,
It's got a chip off of it, but it's like we just put a loose piece of just hard wood in the car, and like we're just barreling around. It's
And
such
think
a
about
fucking.
if that hits.
Oh, dude, if that hit me,
oh my!
I would dude. I'd have a rhino sticking out of my
Imagine
head.
if one of your guitars was in the car.
I didn't even really have many guitars at the time.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, let's not imagine that. Why would we imagine worse things happening?
Yeah, exactly.
I
What
mean,
if
you
he broke his
fucking
head in
opened this
half?
can, dude. You opened
Then
this
he
can of
fucker
worms.
wouldn't be here. But yeah, you definitely helped save him, getting fucking help from the.
Oh, I'd be
the
dead.
neighboring.
I'd for
farm
sure be
prison.
dead.
So let me rewind. You fucking call him for help, screaming for help. A dude hears and calls the police.
He was a
Yeah,
firefighter.
He was an ex-firefighter. So yeah, I was up there for about 45 minutes, and I was just screaming for help because obviously I didn't have service. And
And you weren't about to leave John.
no, I didn't even try to walk off or go closer to. I didn't even know. I was actually holding John the entire time.
Yeah.
I was holding John in my arms, and I was just screaming for help. And the next day, I didn't really have my voice because I just blew it out screaming. But a guy about a mile and a half over the hill heard me screaming, and he had heard the crash apparently, and he rushed over, or tried to at least, and he was trying to find us. Was a huge thing. He didn't know where we
What
were.
direction or what?
Yeah, it's dark. Like obviously the car's fucked up. There's no lights on it. He finds us, and he had a rope tied to a tree, and he scaled down the hillside, and he climbed down next to me, and I was just holding John, and he was like, "I can't believe you're alive." He just kept saying it. He's like, "I can't believe you're alive. I can't believe you're alive."
Yeah.
And he's looking at me, and I look up. This is the first time I looked up, and it was just pretty much straight up. It was just straight up, super far, and I just see his little rope, and he's like, "Everyone's on their way. Just stay here. I'm going to go to the top and go flag them down." It was like another 5 minutes before people showed up. And then, the whole ladder thing, they pulled us up with ropes and all that good shit. Though I think one of the other traumatizing parts about it to me was we come from a small town. The population was like 700 when I first moved there. It was like 1,000, I think, when this happened, maybe 1,500 at most. And so we knew everyone. We knew the local police, everyone. And one of the sheriffs on duty was Officer Tim Thurber, which I thank that man. He's a lovely officer.
What's
and
the
one
name
of
of
the
the
best we have.
firefighter, dude?
I don't remember any of the firefighters. I just remember.
No, the guy who showed up.
I don't remember his name either.
You're a piece of shit. Keep going.
Tim Thurber was there, and man, he just looked fucking tore up seeing us boys messed up like that because he's known us our whole lives practically. And like he was asking me what was going on. He actually ended up having another officer come talk to me because he didn't want to. He couldn't handle it. But yeah, it was just like
That's so fucked up.
It's
Both you
super
guys could've
fucked
been
up.
dead. If you hadn't woken up and he sat there and bled, so did you have internal bleeding? You were just fucked. You basically couldn't move.
I couldn't move.
Yeah, you weren't gonna be able to be woken up because your body was.
I think there were some
brain
like
dead
cuts
mode 'cause it got
on
hit.
my arm,
Okay.
cuts on my shoulder. I fucked my eyebrow up because shit hit my head, so my eyebrow was bleeding. I think you're like conventional like movie scene like blood down the
And that
eyebrow.
That shit cuts so easy.
Yeah.
it was a pretty good amount of blood too. It wasn't anything like a Saw movie, but it was like more blood than I'd seen in person before.
Yeah, sure.
But it was
So you're bleeding
largely
from your head.
blunt force. It was largely blunt force. So there was I didn't
But your
get like
skull didn't
I
crack.
didn't.
You're fucking.
No.
You just got an artifact, which
Yeah.
could have meant a part of chip of something got in your skull.
Let me tell you though,
under
let's
your skull, whatever.
put down for the record though, he got one hell of a black eye. That
Oh
was,
yeah, I got.
that was a
fucked
good
up.
fucking
Yeah.
black eye.
Oh, by the air.
I'm not sure
Maybe
what it was. Could have been
car, the roof of the car, the airbag. I don't
Well, dude,
don't know.
even if you get hit like around your eye, I've heard of people. I haven't seen it. I don't know. I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
I've only seen a couple black eyes. They definitely weren't from car crashes, but people like from airbags, they get hit in the side of the eye or the face around the eye.
They'll fuck you up.
Or in the nose area, you know what I'm saying? And they'll get a black eye.
Yeah.
So maybe you got hit, maybe it hit down, you smacked the airbag. And
I mean, I was
in the
bleeding
air.
right here. So, I mean,
so it definitely was.
Definitely got hit, like, right here on my head. So...
That's crazy. Yeah, so you basically wouldn't have made it out of there if you hadn't been able to flag someone down. If he hit his head and got knocked out, and then after a while, it's like, who's going to find you guys? There's no evidence of you down there, right?
What if the car decides to roll down the next 100 feet down to the
it's crazy.
creek bottom?
You guys got lucky in a way.
Yeah. No,
we got
absolutely.
extremely lucky. Are you kidding me?
I mean, that was probably best case scenario for that scenario.
Like, that was the only, like, slightly level part of that entire cliffside. That was the only part, and that's
You
just
got
happened.
a little whiplash, huh?
Oh, as fuck, dude. I was so in shock, and my neck was like jelly.
I bet.
It was like jelly, dude.
So do you remember when you hit the tree and the force of coming to a stop?
Mm-hmm.
That must... Did you feel like your fucking
it
heart
almost
hit your chest?
it almost
That
knocked the
crazy
wind out of me, but it was it hurt, like my whole chest, everything, like top bottom hurt. Imagine all of your insides just ramming up against your rib cage. It fucking hurt. I was so sore for like a few weeks after that. Even I didn't want to go do anything. I was going to the skate park all the time before this. I didn't want to go to the skate park at all for a few weeks. It hurt super bad, but I mean, like, regardless, I came out of it with just a cut on my face. It could have been much worse, and I still have my best friend, which is awesome.
No, that's crazy. How's your fucking arm doing? That's the real question. You ever get a little kink in your scapula?
Well, that's actually why I have the super thick gel guitar strap that I have, because that guitar is super heavy.
A little extra padding on that thing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I always have padded guitar straps.
But that heals on its own, so you probably had just a crack.
So there was... when I was in the hospital, there was talk of you could get surgery on this, but you could be, because it's so deep and like we'd have to cut around a bunch of tissue and muscle and stuff. There's potential for it injuring you more than you already are. And then same thing goes with your spine. So they said, we can like completely repair it, but you're running a risk. I said, fuck that. And we just did like half a year of physical therapy instead.
A lot of yoga.
No, it wasn't really that, because it wasn't any of my lower shit. So it was
fucking yoga's good for your back.
Well, yeah, but like it wasn't a whole lot of that. It was just like basic like stretches and
probably a lot of keeping your arm above your head and moving.
Yeah, I had to do
stuff.
like these, and stuff, and
and your muscles were probably pretty fucked around it.
Yeah. I mean, it got like it was pretty like. It got more rigorous as time went on. It started off with just like moving your arm like this, like just for 5 times once a day.
Did you have to do the elastic bands where you slowly like let it back?
Yeah. Eventually, I had to do those.
That helps a lot with that.
Luckily,
for my shoulder, when I tore strained the 2 muscles on top of it, I was just doing those lame. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do this shit for a half hour.
It works.
Yeah.
Great. What were you saying
though? A lot of the physical therapy was like stuff I could just do on my own. I actually didn't really have like a physical therapist. It was just exercise. I had to go and like report to them, and they would be like, this is how we're looking.
Fucking, what is it called? Talk to a shrink.
Oh, like about my mental state?
Yeah.
No, not really. Not really until like the only time I had to basically convince them that I was there still was like immediately after. They were asking me like questions like, when's your birthday? How old are you? What's going on up here? So after a couple days, I was completely back to who I was, and thinking how I think, which is what the fuck happens next.
Yeah, it's crazy how you can recover. So I was joking with my buddy the other day how you can do it. Like, we have a buddy who did a ton of drugs and went to rehab, and he's still sharp as an arrow. So I was like, dude, see, that's proof that you can do a ton of drugs and bounce back. And this is like that same thing. You can get fucking concussed.
Oh, you can fuck yourself up, dude.
Yeah, I had my dome rattled, and I'm still here. I'm still to this day surprised I didn't black out just on contact.
Oh, yeah.
That thing hit me so hard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and sometimes the body doesn't have to get hit in the head to shut down like that, like going to shock.
Sometimes you get hit in the gut hard enough.
In the chest. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Ugh.
Yeah.
Fuck that. All right. So you basically, the end of it was you guys eventually fucking met up and hugged and were like, bro, and we have this picture with you in the hospital.
Well, you
and
couldn't hug.
I was gonna say I don't think I
couldn't
hugged him.
hug.
high five really hard.
It was nuts.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
nuts.
You can see. You can see in
Yeah.
the picture that that we're giving.
It was
nuts.
it was pretty hard to give him a hug. I wanted to give him a hug pretty bad. But he had a little teddy bear with him to take care of him. You see that next to his arm. It was taking care of him hard enough. You see the look on my face, bro. I was fucked up because I thought I was staring at death.
Yeah.
That's
That fist bump. Bro, I got it, bro.
He didn't even really want to give me one back. He was just like, "You good,
dude?"
I
was
mean,
so
you
in
can kind of
shock.
see that I'm just like I'm fucking loopy as all fuck. Like I'm
And I was
like in the picture.
My mind was in a dark place.
I mean,
man.
because they obviously had me on some shit.
Hey, Dragon Terror. You know what? I would sing that, but we're having a serious conversation this time.
I'm only safe because of America, though.
It's true.
God bless fucking
God
America.
bless
If we didn't have
America.
if we didn't have the infrastructure that we did,
Oh.
firefighters and cops wouldn't have showed up. It wouldn't have. If it wasn't for those people who work so hard every day, that we wouldn't be here today easily.
Absolutely. That's crazy. Anything else you want to tell about the story or any details we missed?
Drive 15 miles an hour or less on gravel roads, especially ones you don't know. Use your brights at night, and hug your friends every day.
All
Yeah, I
right.
mean, this is some like kind of like hokey dumb shit to say, but like you don't really think about how everything can just change in a matter of seconds, and like one day everything was fine and we were just hanging out and we were going up to our buddy's house, and like he was going to the skate park all the time. I was like just start getting back into playing guitar, all this other shit, but it just all fucking changed like immediately after. Everything changed after that
With a
And
matter
so,
of seconds.
and
Yeah.
don't take for granted what you have now, because it can all get taken away in any in any way, shape, or form. So
I mentioned like 2015.
14, the end of 14.
So it was a year after
It
that
was a year
whole
after the
shit.
crash, yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Wow. That's crazy.
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll cut it there so we don't bore people. That's about 40 minutes. Thanks for visiting Dragon Terror. You're the VIP, the MIP,
The
what is
VIP.
it? I don't know. Peace out.
Thanks for watching, guys.